Hello and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the improvisational storytelling podcast, where every week we, your lovely hosts, bring you a lovely story. Sometimes it's made up, sometimes it's real, based on a real story. Sometimes it just comes out of the cavities of our own imagination. I am, of course, Levi.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to tell you a story. How's it going, everybody?
It is
Good
going
with me.
along.
Great. So we're starting a new story, and what story elements do you guys have? I have history.
I have magic system.
I have prophecy.
Oh, great. Should we do history or prophecy first? I feel like those two are kind of like world buildy.
Mine has a little bit of world buildy, but nothing, I think. It's more of like a situational thing that I think can
Okay.
fit in anywhere.
My history is pretty world buildy, so should I go first?
Yeah, sure.
Good with me.
Okay. So the year is 2025 on Earth, right? We have yet to sort of solve all of our differences with each other as a humanity. But lucky us, aliens arrive, right? Aliens arrive. They drop down, on the Tiananmen Square in China. They drop down in what is it in Russia? In front of the Kremlin. They drop
Red
down on
Square.
the White House. Yeah, they drop down on the White House. They drop down in front of England. Every major political force, they come down, and they basically, it's they're the Peace Corps. They're the negotiators, the diplomats, right? And they are basically saying, we're gonna welcome you with open arms. We're expanding into this area. We're so excited that there's another force here, another intelligent, a planet with intelligent life. We've got tons of technology we're ready to share with you.
Cool, man.
And like that, we have unified world government, right?
Yikes.
There's some infighting about who gets to be the top dog, Is it the president of the United States? Is it the president of Russia? Is it the prime minister? Is it the I don't know what the Chinese call there. Is it the president?
The general secretary of the CCP.
Yeah, basically what Xi Jinping is right now.
Yeah.
But anyways, after sort of 6 or 8 months of kind of some struggles, they come down again. Well, they never left, but they sort of come down again and they help, everyone kind of. And now we are here 100 years later. So 2125. They have brought significant change, right? They have simple medical procedures to remove cancer, to extend a life of a person. You just you take a little longevity treatment, and you can live to be in a youthful age. 125, 200 years, right? And it seems really good and awesome what they've decided to help us do. But what it's also turned into is they have the history books will look back at this and sort of wonder why we gave up so much so fast, because essentially what we've turned into, Earth is basically turned into a giant farm.
Yeah.
Right? So pasture land, we can now grow more dense crops on much smaller plots. They're really interested in our export of meat. And so the whole Earth has basically turned into a giant factory farming facility.
Yikes.
And now there's some questions about what exactly our position is in, do we get a place at the parliament or the whatever federal meetings? And it's quickly sort of becoming apparent to the people who are concerned about it that we are essentially we get all cool technology, but we don't get any influence at all.
We're a vassal state.
Yep.
And,
I was gonna say, we're like a feudal. We're like a feudal system.
right.
We just basically were taken over, given a bunch of stuff.
So they picked some, big agribusiness. They picked the winners in the big agribusiness, globalist corporate conglomerates, and these, essentially, humans run these corporations, but they are, they're handpicked to be the winners, and the aliens call the shots. Is that it?
Yep, basically. And there's enough sort of disinformation about what they're doing. Like, at first, the first couple of years was like, we are so excited to experience who human beings are, to we're in a galactic war, to you should help us with this war, but not with your strategic ideas, not with your unique ways to innovate, which humans have, not with your systems, not with your sort of love of art, but you should help us in this really specific way, which is just providing us with a resource.
Wow. It's like settling in with a 6 and an 8 on wheat fields and a 2-to-1 wheat port in Settlers of Catan.
Yeah. Except for the fact that we at first wanted to help, but like through these years, it's turned into, this is what we want from you. This specific thing is what we want from you, and we've kind of begun to get the cold shoulder.
Right.
From.
Yeah. That culture schmulture sort of thing, right?
Right. And my thought is as a world building aspect, my thought is that there's something about Earth that's really specific. That's why they want it.
Right.
Something about what we can produce. And there's some convention that's stopping them from just wiping us out and using the planet.
Methane.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe. But I'm saying there's some law that's sort of keeping them back from just wiping us out and using the planet. And they say we'd never do that, But they also don't allow other alien species to come,
Oh yeah, so they're like holding the knowledge of this new Earth really close to the vest, and they've got like the corner on this fabulously perfect, ideal growing season, so to speak, agricultural planet, and they can handle the expansion of population in the world, and they're like they want to keep us like under their thumb.
And how it works right now is there's 2 exports that go off planet, right? There's mushrooms and there's beef, and that's it. And there's no place in the world that has not been converted to, right? Like the site of Notre Dame has been bulldozed because it wasn't worth saving after the fire that was a couple of years ago.
Oh, man.
People have basically grabbed onto this. We need to be part of this new conglomerate thing. We need to reject our troublesome past and take in this new future. But because of the indomitable spirit of humanity, obviously there is some fight against it. There are like home printed pamphlets, there's small, you can't do a lot, but there's small acts of resistance. And this is sort of the first time this alien race has had to deal with that, and there's just enough red tape and slop in the system that they can't just they're not just like squashing all the dissenters,
Right.
Because you have these people who are the high ups who are directly connected to the aliens who want everything to go, but then as you get farther down,
right,
it's more people who you get to a certain class level, and all of a sudden these people are the ones eating the protein bricks.
Yeah.
Because the robots, the aliens, when they came, they helped us terraform and remove tons of different styles of tons of different plants, because there's only what do you need? Grass for cows?
Right.
Like why would you need maple trees for? Why would you need the Black Forest in Germany? We just come and burn the whole thing, chemically treat it so that it grows grass. We're good, It's like, why would you need all these things? What we need is grass, because what your contribution is these exports.
Right.
So that is the setting. So it's real Earth. It's 2125, and this is in sort of full swing. So that's the history. Seth, what's the prophecy?
The prophecy,
or a world building thing, if you have an idea.
I have a magic system that really fits right into this. But
all right, go ahead, read, and then I'll bring my thing in.
I didn't get I wasn't in on the podcast last week, and so like this weekend I said, "Oh, Levi, I don't have my story element." But we were like at a place over the holiday weekend where it was like a place out in the country, and it was real sketchy getting internet access, and so I didn't get we were almost home before I got my story element, which is magic system. And I'll say, well, I'm obviously tired, and everything. And I said, well, I'll join in if I get inspired. Well, it was at this kind of end of day kind of thing, when the sun is settling down in the west and we're driving, and everything is lush and green because we've had plenty of rain, and the sun is kind of seeping through the trees and the shadows are long, and it's that brilliant emerald green when you've got green hay fields and green grass and the leaves on the trees. Everything has got this lush green thing. And my magic system is green. And the way it works is this. There's been a tradition on Earth, for centuries. And back in the day, there was much more contact with what I'm going to call the Sylvan influence. And it's as industrial revolution and modernization, and by the time the aliens came, people thought of elves as fairy tales,
Right.
and this isn't, but they never died out, and it isn't passed down genetically. It isn't, you have little people running around with pointy ears. This is on a different plane that people connect with this, and it's I'm not going to say it's religion, but it's people that come from the kind of the elven tradition, and there's been a lot of people. One of the things that the way the magic system works is connecting with green through joy. So these people that are in touch with the Sylvan heritage, and it isn't everybody, not everybody, but it's people that have this spark that's passed down,
Okay.
They'll find themselves like in a forest glade, and the sunlight is streaming through, in the early morning or the late afternoon, and this rich color. They'll just start singing, and it is unlocked. The magical ability is unlocked by connecting with. There's scientists have looked at it among the elves, and it's they are assuming that there's a chemical component because of chlorophyll, but yet it's this more mystical side.
Yeah.
And so you have a group of people out there that are they recognize that what's going on is something that needs resistance. But so there's enclaves of where people are out there singing to the trees and resisting the bulldozers, so to speak. And
Tree huggers.
Tree huggers, exactly. And and there's things like these fancy alien machines will malfunction in the presence of some of these people, and it's not overt. It's not obvious, demonstrations of power, like
Right.
like a wizard, casting fireballs and directing lightning strikes. It's more I think of like in Wheel of Time, you'd have ogiers singing to the trees, and you have the Dragon Reborn would come to an area of land that's stunted and withered, and where he walks, green grass springs up and flowers bloom, and
Right.
but it's really been growing as people have recognized, the grief. It's strong emotions. So the grief of destruction, for one thing, and then singing to the trees and singing to the grass and singing to the flowers and singing to the plants and unleashing the joy that connects with this green energy, this green magic. So we've got 21, 25, we've got aliens and we've got elves. And I think it's a wonderful basis for a story.
I had this sort of thought process as you were talking about this. So the aliens that came to us, they regard themselves as like they say they're kind of like one race, but there's like different people who have different jobs who look very different.
Right.
And what we find out is that it's one alien race that has subjugated many races.
Oh yeah.
And now what they've sort of told us is that their race looks very different. They have really strong muscled guys to do this thing and big brain guys to do the science and stuff like that. But the reality is that these all represent like subjugated races.
Right.
And so even within the even within this alien force that seems so in lockstep at the beginning of the story.
Right.
My thought is that closer to the middle, there would be some who would kind of draw dissent.
Yes.
And I was even thinking, Reed, is that these elves could be either the reason why this subjugating alien force wants Earth, because the elves were sort of there first.
Yeah.
And they taught the humans how to sort of grow up and take care of things, and they taught that's where this sort of symbiosis comes from.
Right.
And originally the aliens were not able to take Earth because of the elves, and now they're coming back later, now that humans have sort of gained more dominance.
Yeah.
And now they're able to subjugate that and maybe tap into some of the humans' power. I don't know. It was a thought I was thinking
Yeah, I
of.
was thinking like the as they were waiting for the Earth to kind of grow up and cast off the mystical side and
Right.
and embrace the the technical revolution, so to speak, and worshiping science and all that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Seth, you got a prophecy for us?
Yeah. So whether it's 2025 or sometime before that, I would definitely say it's sometime before the aliens show up.
Okay.
It's, I guess you could say, no particular family important, but just some family. Is having a family reunion at a place. And so they're all kind of gathered, uncles and cousins, and, everyone's kind of gathered around. And this kook kind of guy, just vagabond, and he's got like this bag and he's got a book, and he kind of like bursts into their event, kind of ranting and raving and just, talking hogwash, as far as anyone kind of knows. And it's like, well, who's this? Like, is this some like distant cousin, or like what's going on here? Well, he starts like mumbling about, these items, and he hands 14 of them, are these marbles, and he hands 14 of these marbles to, one of the heads of each of the different families, and kind of a tray, so that there's 14 of them. So if you put 9 on, like set 9 up, and then you can put 4 in the open spaces and then 1 on top, and it'll make like a pyramid of marbles.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's 14 of them, and he hands them out, and then he says, with these connected, you'll have, the greatest weapon known to mankind, but be warned, it will bring about, the end and the destruction. And he kind of mumbles, and he runs out, and he gets hit by, whatever time period is, bus, a carriage, whatever it is. And they kind of go running out. Well, then they have his book. And as far as they can get it, it just seems like a dream journal, with all his, whacked up dreams.
Right.
So now they each have these marbles. So obviously, if they assemble them, it'll be the greatest weapon known to mankind, but will also bring about the end and destruction. I would say some people kind of didn't take it seriously. A few of them didn't take it too serious. Some of them kind of wrote it off. A few of them took it extremely serious. And then have now tried to finagle these marbles from the rest of the family. So now it's been a long time since then.
Right. Right.
And they've kind of, whether they're important families now or whether they're, I guess I could say that maybe they're probably not on the alien side of things. But there's still a few of those families left that have now become like these kind of prominent families. I mean, like, I wouldn't say crime families.
Yeah, families of influence.
Yeah, families of influence. Their families have grown. Each different family house has now kind of grown and, taken prominence, and then they kind of gather, and, some of them are then trying to convince the others to, assemble these. And maybe now, particularly because of the aliens being here, and some of them don't take it too seriously. I mean, they've got copies of his dreams, and like some of them take it, like I said, extremely serious. Some of these dreams or these other prophecies, and they kind of live their life, and it's almost like a holy text, and they're all involved in it. And so I think, at this point now, there's a couple families that have, 2, 3, maybe 4. Having more of them doesn't make them more prominent or necessarily more powerful, but there's definitely some that are holding on to them just to make sure the others don't get them. And some of them that are trying to get them either, in some kind of, show of power.
That's kind of cool.
But yeah, that's
is the idea that they knew who the old guy was, or no?
No, they didn't. He just kind of burst in, handed a marble to, 14 of the heads of household. And as far as they knew, kind of, mumbled, said that, ran out, and most of the other stuff that they've built around what this is or might do or whatever, all from this, book of, visions and dreams that he had written down.
Right. So what is the weapon?
It could be nothing.
Was that not, or it could be something.
Or it could be something.
Cool. Anyone else have any fun fun
I love
world building ideas.
I love it. The aliens have bit off more than they could chew. This is going to be fun. Yeah, go ahead, underestimate us. This should be fun.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it would go too.
Sure, of course it would.
So we'll call it done for today, and then I like this. Maybe I'll think about it a little bit more and come back with some more world building stuff. But we'll come back next week with additional story elements to sort of build on this. Sound good to everybody?
Yeah,
sounds great.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Wait It Gets Better. A little shorter episode, but that's okay. It's a lot of content packed into a short episode. Just listen to it on a 3/4 speed and it'll just be fine. If you like this episode, please let me know. Send me an email at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com if you liked it, if you didn't like it, or if you want to follow me on Twitter, follow me at @getsbettercast. I'd love to hear from you, our fans, about what you thought of it, what you think we could do better. And if you didn't like this episode and you haven't liked any of our episodes and you think we're generally a terrible podcast, I would say just wait. It gets better.